Hello, and welcome to Your Word is Your Wand. This is a podcast that was created to bring awareness to how our words that we speak, that we say to ourselves in silence, the things that we think also create our reality. And so we are here to support others in waking up to shifting their words to shift their entire life. My name is Carrie Mushaw, and I am your anxiety coach. And this is my beautiful business partner.
Good morning. I am Andrea Alexander, and I am your anxiety expert and life coach.
Awesome. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Brandi. I'm going to bring her in. Welcome, Brandi.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And Brandi works with a beautiful organization called We Are Not Broken. And so before we begin and dive in to hear all Brandi's goodies, we're going to go ahead and begin with a big breath because, you know, as we start this podcast, we always desire to create a sacred container. And so everyone anyone listening, take a big breath, inhale really big. And exhale through your mouth. So we're remembering that our inhalation is our act of receiving. And so with that awareness, take another breath and inhale really big and light up your nostrils. And exhale through your mouth. And our exhalation is our awareness of letting go. Now, our tools are already in our body. We have everything we require right here, right now. And with that information, one more breath. Inhale, really big. Receive, 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 all for me. And exhale through your mouth. Big letting go. And as we begin all of our calls that we do and retreats, anything Andrea and I do, we begin with breath and decrees. Decree a thing and it shall be. And Andrea is masterful, so I'm going to ask her to go ahead and walk us through a few decrees this morning as we're setting our container up.
Yes, and thank you. And so I'm going to say it, and then I empower you to repeat it on the inner or even say it out loud after I've said it, and to really feel the energy of your words. I speak out loud into me.
I speak out loud into me.
I let my ease touch me.
I let my ease touch me.
I let my love touch me.
I let my love touch me.
I remember how perfect I already am.
I remember how perfect I already am.
Me, love me.
Me, love me. And I love that, Andrea, you put the perfection on the table or on the altar, excuse me. You put it right here in this container. I love the perfection because we're often, Andrea and I are anxiety coach, and people are running around rapidly trying to move from how they feel because they're yet to be aware and stay in their already perfection, that everything is perfect. It's happening for a reason. And when we slow down, we'll receive those messages and we can move through anything that makes us uncomfortable so quickly. But perfection, we are perfect. And that it's, you brought that here, and that's so perfect right here for my belief is for Brandy, because We Are Not Broken is an organization about you are already perfect. This is your story. It's perfect. It came to you this way. One of the things, so I became aware of We Are Not Broken I was at a chamber meeting. So I choose to remember to tell everybody, I live in Liberty Hill.
Okay.
Andrea lives in Houston. But I was at a chamber event for Georgetown, and some woman was sitting there and she was like, oh my gosh, there's this wonderful organization. Have you heard of it? And I was like, no. And I believe I had lived here for a few weeks. And I was like, no, wow, that's really cool. So it came into, I heard it and I could hear it. And so I sat with it for a while. And then as the months went on, like I Googled a little bit and then I sent a message, and then I Googled a little bit and then I sent a message, and then some time passed. And then I was like, you know what? I choose to learn more about this. And so I dove back in and sent a message, and Nick Austin, who has created the whole organization, she called me like the next day and was like, let's connect, because Andrea and we work in moving trauma to triumph.
I love it.
That is what I heard from We Are Not Broken. And I was like, I choose to connect with this person.
Yes. I'm so glad you did.
Organically happened.
I love that. We always say that. How cool is it? I mean, y'all's organization and what you teach is exactly what we are trying to empower women to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Brandy, will you tell us a little bit about how you got involved and kind of what you do?
Okay. So Nick and I actually met several years ago. Both of our husbands were in the service. So we were service wives. And when you are in that lifestyle, you move around a lot. Every 2 years, you get restationed usually. So when you meet a group of people, you meet a new group of people all the time. And it seems like as soon as we met, we clicked. We were both actually fitness trainers at this time. And when you're in the fitness training world, you hear women bash themselves more than usual because women are coming to you because they want to better themselves, but they always constantly were putting themselves down. So we had that in common, and we talked about that a lot. And then Nick got relocated, and she moved away from me. And we were so close that even the distance didn't separate us. And we had both went through some situations where friends of ours had gone through cancer journeys. And she had a sister that she lost through breast cancer. I had a girlfriend that I lost through brain cancer. And through that, we just were around other people that were putting themselves down because they had been through some situation, whether it's an external scar or an internal scar. Something in their life they thought was bad, so it made them feel bad, right? And so Nick was like picking up her camera a lot at this time in her life, and she said, I want to capture women's scars, and I want them to know how beautiful they are. So God really just put We Are Not Broken on her heart, and it's a platform for women and girls to share their scar stories. She does that through photography and videography. And we're just trying to create a culture of change so that society doesn't think of physical and emotional scars as something that's negative. It needs to be something that we've gone through and we've lived through and triumphed through, right? So when Nick started, we were still about 7 hours apart as far as distance goes. And when COVID happened, and all my kids were at home and I was working from home and my husband was working from home, I had just lost my friend to brain cancer, probably a few months before that. And I was like, you know what, y'all, we're going to sell our house and every belonging that we have that's not precious to us. And we're going to go travel the United States. And my family thought I was nuts. And until this is what happened, someone knocked on our front door and said, we want to buy your house. Will you sell it to us? And we didn't even put our house on the market. And I was like, okay, here's the sign. So I gave them a number that I thought really was out of the and they accepted it, and we went and sold our house. I had a senior and a freshman, and I didn't think that we would travel for years and years full time. I wanted to get 1 year in because I had a senior that was fixing to leave. We got about 11 months in, and we were all driving each other crazy. It was a journey. It was great. I think we got 14 states in that amount of time. We had a truck and a trailer, and my daughter had a car, obviously. So she was driving behind us. We moved about every week or 2 weeks, different places, and just looked at stuff. And then it was time to come back home to Texas. And I prayed about it, and I just felt led to come where Nick was living. And I had help with We Are Not Broken from afar, but you can't get hands-on with it. So when a woman feels out to come tell her story with We Are Not Broken, she comes into a studio and she gets hair and makeup done. She gets to share her story. She gets a photo shoot that makes her feel like extra special. Then videography comes in, and they can share whatever they feel like sharing with that. And Nick started a book series, so everybody that tells their story is in a book. And I just to be here and be around it. I've been here for 2 years now, and I sometimes schedule the stories. I kind of do whatever needs to be done. So if Nick needs me to help her like jump on and share what We're Not Broken is, I'm doing that, or scheduling stories for the women to come in and tell their stories. We've had women fly in from other states. I've picked them up at the airport, brought them to tell their stories, and then they've taken them back to the airport. They fly out the same day. I love connecting with the women that come and tell their stories. That would be my most favorite part of being a part of We Are Not Broken. And being a woman also who has shared her story makes you feel empowered. So that's kind of what I do for We Are Not Broken.
And you and Nick have a podcast, don't you?
We do. So we do a We're Not Broken podcast. And then we also started this year a podcast called Truth in the Raw. Just kind of life as we see it, as it's come to us. So that's been fun to do, Yeah.
Because I've listened. That's why I was like, I've heard this story. I'm
Yeah.
like, I know this story.
You
this
have.
Is
Yes.
this is a
Thanks
good
for
one. This is a good one.
listening. I love it.
What is the truth and the raw? What is that more? Can you give me an example of some of the topics that you've done that I've yet to hear that one? I've heard a few of your other ones.
Okay. So one of our episodes was about, I can't remember the title of it. I'd have to go back. It was one of the first ones, but it was, it was called The Cursing Culture. And this was a fun one because Nick was born and raised in England, close to Scotland, and the vocabulary that they use in other cultures and the vocabulary that we use, it's crazy because there's certain words that here, when we say them, we cringe, and they like grow up using those words. I'll never forget Nick's mom came over from England, and I said something about a fanny, like sit on your fanny, because I was trying to be nice. And, for us, fanny is just a fanny pack that you wear around your waist, or a good way to say bottom. But I'm not even going to tell you what it means in England, but it's not good. And so she was very mad at me for saying it. She was very upset with me. And to be true, I mean, if I were to say maybe the F word to her the way I was saying that, then I would have probably gotten offended too. So that's one of our topics. We've talked about, we try to make it lighthearted and funny because some of the topics are, why are women bashing other women all the time? And why do we always feel insecure and putting other women down when, we kind of pull from what we have going on or what we see going on around us to try to just talk it out. Like, be positive. Don't be so negative all the time. Have fun in life. It's short.
Yes, have fun.
Speak your truth. Yeah.
And what I heard you say about women bashing themselves so much.
Yeah.
And because I own a yoga studio for 9 years. And so I had the same where I would see, and you do see it a lot. And I've also noticed one of the other things that I noticed, just even which goes hand in hand, is like I had a conversation with my neighbor and I was talking to her and she asked me about myself. And what I started noticing is when I started talking about myself, well, my gaze kind of went around the room. And then I turned and I looked at her and I asked her about herself. Because the whole time I'm talking about myself, she is totally engaged, like locked in listening. So then I asked her about herself. Then she starts looking around the room. And I thought, here we are. Like it's the moment we're sharing our glories.
Right.
Like the glorious parts about ourselves. Like you said, don't speak negative. So the two of us both believe in speaking positive. So we're both sitting here speaking positive, yet we're looking around the room. And I'm like, and I noticed it in both of us. And I thought, this is another place where we felt uncomfortable speaking
light into yourself. Yeah.
Yes, light into ourselves, because being able to praise, we were often raised that you're not supposed to praise yourself. So that's why you get these women coming in. And so if you were taught that you're not supposed to praise, well, then you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to dislike everything about you. And you're going to come in and, I want to fix this and fix this and fix this and fix this. And we're all made unique for a reason.
Right.
And we all are perfect already.
Yes.
And I have been so aware. So I'm like, okay, when I'm talking, I can feel it. And I turn around and I lock eyes again and speak. And what I can feel is myself like come back into my body.
I love that.
Jumping in and jumping out, in and jumping out, and being able to stay. It's an amazing experience. And I'm very, very aware of it now. So when I speak, and that I'm also aware around me.
Right. So we, the other day we were talking and someone said something about how I was told a lot growing up, like if I would complain or say something, it was always, don't say anything because someone else has it worse than you have it. Like, you don't have it that bad. Someone else has got it worse. So I find a lot of women, probably men too, they tend to hide and they only want to share the good. They don't want to share maybe a struggle that they're going through because they think that it's something negative and they're putting themselves down about it instead of sharing it and letting other people know that like everybody struggles with situations. I feel like a lot of people only want to share the positive stuff.
I've had that flip. I've seen that flip too. And the other side of the coin where they do that as well. That's what Andrea and I did a thing on toxic positive.
Yes.
And that's what that is.
Yeah.
Where they're just saying positive because they don't want to say anything else. But that's what we're talking about. That's where the anxiety comes from because you're running from what's actually going on. And if you will say it, if you'll say it, but it'll require saying it without, saying it. You have to say it, and then it can move.
Yeah. That's what I think we see a lot of women that will come in and when the videography starts for them to share their story, it's kind of like a release. Like I've been holding in this whole time what I look like under my clothes, maybe, possibly. And now I'm showing it and I'm speaking it. And it's like, you can see this weight lifted off their shoulders. They feel almost free when they're leaving. Like, I've been hiding this part of me for so long. And now I just let it go. And so I see that a lot. Yeah.
It's where we've separated from ourselves. This belief that the negative or the things that we are less than enjoying in our lives, that they're ugly or weak.
Right.
And so we try to suppress that stuff so nobody really sees who we are, because that's our belief is who we are.
Exactly.
That we're either weak or scarred or marred or broken.
Right.
And there, I read a book and I choose to remember the name of it, but she talks about, you said unique and perfect. There are thousands of different varieties of grass on the planet. Varieties of cats and dogs and cows and apples and oranges and trees. There's uniqueness everywhere. It's abundant in nature, and we're expecting ourselves to all look the same. Exactly. We had this belief that this is what beauty is. This is what healthy is.
Yes.
And flipping off because it's so different. Perfection. We put topic of perfection a little bit, and we believed in perfectionism, which is that everything's got to be perfect, with the refusal to believe and or even get what is in this moment is perfect. I remember having the revelation of right now is perfect for me. Even if I'm standing in a puddle of mud and snot's running down my throat, whatever, rain, there's something in this for me. And I remember having that conversation with my therapist, and the belief that if we accept where we are as perfect, then there's no going anywhere. And I say, no, when we see right now as perfect and we love where we are, this is us putting light on the experience, the truth, where we come back into ourself and can love exactly what we're experiencing, the feelings, the look, and because that's where we create space and chance for something new and different to come in. If we're resisting the scars, we're never going to be happy. We will never be in a place where we can love them.
Yes.
And so the minute that the people show up with their willingness to speak into, to share, to expose what is so tender to them, is where they shed light into the darkness, and only love has power in the light.
I love, yes, all of that. Yes.
And it's so awesome. And one of the things just right here, like we're saying positive and negative, we're already categorizing it. And that's that's the other thing, is people think something's negative, and instead it's just perfect. And where you are is perfect. And people sometimes, if you believe, like Andrea was saying, if you get too comfortable, then you won't move forward. And I'm like, I have a completely different experience, because if I'm really comfortable, then everything just kind of is magnetized and comes in.
Yeah.
And that's the light of God. That's where it's God shine. And which is exactly what you did when you created, like, your home being sold and all that kind of stuff. Is you were speaking into what you were feeling inside of you, and you owned it, and you said everybody thought I was crazy, and it was because it was something completely new and different,
right?
And yet you were like, this is it, and then bang, and then it happens.
Yeah.
So you got comfortable with a new idea or a new movement, a new travel, a new spectrum of your whole thing, and then boom, it came. Then they showed up at your door and asked.
Yeah.
Not I got to go out and go figure it out and go post it everywhere. And
right.
And that's the same. We have that same existence that we can draw when we are aware of our perfection and we step in. Yes, we can let go of what has held us back and kept us covered up, and we can slide forward.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Awesome. And the other thing that I definitely choose to speak into, because the language, because you were talking about the language and Nick being from one place and the language being so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we find that all the time. Like Andrea and I's training actually comes from a gentleman that created a whole system based off of studying the Hopi Indian tribe, and that he studied their language, and they didn't have the word want or need or even later. They only spoke in a now. And I thought, man, that's kind of deep. And I was like, and what he discovered was they were experiencing no stress, no anxiety. And so that's what he saw. And he was like, what is this? And so that's where our training comes into our words, and how all of these words that in our society we have created, and how some of them have taken us out of being in now, being in the light, and owning where we are, and being able to, like I said, it's being able to magnetize and create our new reality just through our words. So language is so powerful. And it is so funny though, with different words, because Andrea and we have coached people from all different ethnicities, and we find so many different language choices. And we're like, what is that? Sometimes it's an adjective for something we already had, and sometimes it's totally different.
Right. Yeah.
There are archetypical patterns that literally run through cultures. It's men, women, Asian, Hispanic, Black. You hear these patterns based on their experiences as a culture. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really very interesting to me. And when Nick and when I moved here finally, and we were hanging out a lot, you'll know, not if you ever are around us, sometimes when I get around her, or especially when her mom is down, I'll start talking like they do and have like a little bit of an accent, and everybody is like, what are you doing? I'm like, they don't even pay it any attention now, because I just do it. It's so crazy.
It's something that resonates with you.
Hilarious. I remember I spent, yes, we're energetically connected. Yes. And so we take on other things and that we hear. We like the way it sounds or resonates for us. And I remember I came back when I was in college, or cancel. It was even high school. I spent a summer in South America. And I came home, and my mother said, your voice is completely different. And I had taken on speaking like this girl from California. And like even the tone of my voice was different. And we pick up we pick up other people that we love.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. It shifts our vibration, which is one of the things. It shifts our vibration, which is why we enjoy the people we share our company with, like who we're around, because we enjoy being around those people, because they raise us, they lift us, and our vibration begins to shift, and we see different things. I went to Honduras, and we were like, because Andrea and I always speak into choice instead of I want this. We always say I choose. So we speak into our choice. And I got there, and we had we were scheduling a fishing trip and going out into the water. And so we had a couple come to our place and sit down and speak to us about travel. And I had another girl with me that speaks as we do, and I choose and everything. And he sat down and he was like, I choose, and I choose, and we both went. But then I realized that that's how they speak actually in Honduras, is they don't have the word want, which is so amazing, because another thing we experienced was driving down the street, and my friend was like, oh my gosh, look at them. They're so poor. And they had like a shed, and they were outside. They were outside with their shoes off, and the kids were all playing and dancing, and everybody was happy. And she was like, oh, they don't have any money. Oh, they're poor. And I was like, wait a second. We're missing the perfection here, because you're missing how they're feeling. Like, see what they're feeling. They're so happy.
Look at their faces.
Yes. And you're focusing on the stuff around them, because that's what you would have, and that's how you would see it back at home, perhaps. And yet right here, if you'll look and see their perfection, that's why we always say we see each other's perfection, and you can see how happy and jovial they are. And I was like, they are living in choice. They're want. The word want is a needy kind of longing. It's speaking into lack. It's speaking into lack. I tell people
you can want.
I tell people, put that on your Christmas list. A Christmas list may be a want. You don't care if you get it. You don't care if you don't. Like, it's easy peasy, whatever goes. But if you speak your whole life into want,
yes,
you will be longing, believing in lack, and yet to fully receive. But that's what these people were doing. So there's just, I think it's amazing to hear how different cultures are speaking. And like Andrea said, there's archetypes where we can find where there's things that they may be believing in that they may be yet to know that that's the belief that's being played out, but yet you can see it, and then be able to shift it. And then there's things that each one of us has this high vibration that we have some words that we've used that actually raise us and raise the people around us. And so, like, then I imagine that's what you were experiencing. You could feel I imagine you felt Nick and her mother's love, and it was kind of
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're family now. So yes, yeah.
And being able to shift in that and feel all of that, that's just, that's so amazing. So I love the topics here because we have perfection on board. And the other thing you mentioned is other women. And so when we talk like how other women speak about other women, and we often are aware that that's just people reflecting where they don't want to look at themselves. So if I talk about her over there, then maybe everybody will stop looking at
me. Yeah.
Let's go. Look over there. Like, look over there. Look over there.
Yes.
Instead of being right here. And then I also enjoy seeing other people. If we see other people, if we see their perfection, we'll see them as evidence.
So much of what women say about themselves and others is because they are scared to look at themselves. It's where women have been judging one another. It's where we found a commonality. Unfortunate. It's less than our highest choice to talk or gossip about or make fun of, but it's what women have done. And Carrie and I are aware. So the word, when we are speaking negatively about others, is judgment. And what Carrie and I are aware of is judgment. When we're speaking out in judgment, it's around, which means recent judgment. And so it's what we've yet to do in ourselves that we are experiencing jealousy, anger, irritation, frustration around. And subconsciously, our brains have been wired, it's survival of the fittest. And there is stuff in us as women that we get the man. We were taught the man is the one that provides security and safety and brings us. And so whatever we required to do to get the man, to keep the man, to keep the other girls away from the man, is what we have done. And I was into my 40s before I even realized that women were cool. And literally, I was in a 12-step eating program where that was the first time I ever felt connected to other women. I had girlfriends, but they were those relationships were the best of my my terrible relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
And when that was an epiphany for me to see that I selected women as friends that treated me like the men I had also. And so that where I came into realizing that women really can be amazing and that we can share on a completely new and different level. And so that has continued to expand for me to the place where now I love my women that I have in my life. I'm so grateful. And it shifted relationships with my sisters and my mother. And other friends that I have in my life now that I remember the security in community and that I've done the work in me. Because if we're judging, there's something in us that's afraid that somebody's going to get or take.
Yes.
And what Carrie put on deck, evidence, and love, this is my most favorite things in the world, is that when we see other women doing really, really well, confident, secure, healthy, successful, they are the examples, the evidence of what we too can do and have and be in our own lives, rather than, oh well, she just doesn't get it. And
exactly.
So we keep,
or seeing her successful and then talking it down.
Yes.
Because we keep 60% of the energy, thoughts and words, spoken and unspoken, that we shed on others.
Wow.
So if you see somebody, you go, oh, poor thing, look at her, that's terrible, you get to keep 60% of that.
That's crazy. I've
and
never.
So when we were,
that's a big awareness. If you, that is, Andrea and I say all the time, people ask us why we do what we do. This is why we keep 60%. So let's go ahead and shift it. Let's speak into the glorious stuff and let's keep it. And then, yes. And then be able to raise others to shift as well.
See others as evidence. We see others as in their own perfection. We see them in their own victory. It's where we get to keep all of that too. So conscious awareness is.
I mean, that's how it does. That's how the dance works. It's like if we will see others in perfection, we'll start to see ourselves in perfection. So we just require putting that down where we've said something where we used to make fun of their shirt or the way that they walk or there's something instead, and just being able to, and Andrea and I, this is what we always are like, whatever our head is playing. And if it's an old story of how we used to do things with women, we just say cancel in our head, cancel, and then vote their victory. Andrea and I don't believe in saying good luck. That's where the vote the victory, because we always ask, do you imagine God created luck? And I was like, because that sounds like a possibility. And I'm like, oh no, my belief is God created victory. Exactly. So we always say, I vote your victory.
I love that.
I see your perfection. I vote your victory all the way home. And then every time, and in saying it, we
gotta write that down.
Of it. Yeah,
that's a good one. I gotta write that down. I need that. I don't have a pen. I'm gonna do it on my phone. Vote your victory. I love that.
I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, I vote your victory and I see your perfection. Because all the wish me luck on this. I'm like, you're believing something's not happening. I'm like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Yes.
And so we believe, we see ourselves already successful. And yes, okay. And so I'm laughing because my dog he's been sitting on the floor. He made himself a perfect bed as we started, like getting all comfortable. Yeah. And now he's at the door like,
I know. This guy, we had lots of tree limbs fall a couple of weeks ago and everybody is still out there grinding them on. I'm like, right now you have to be grinding your limbs like my neighbor. Yeah. Lots of tree damage around here lately.
So Andrea and I were on retreat when that happened. And
so you got to come home to it.
In Canyon Lake. No, we were in Canyon Lake, so it was happening. But here's the beautiful part I choose to share about it is that all the trees, they've got ice on them and they were hanging. Yeah. Right. And we kept our electricity. We kept connected. We kept our power the whole time. And at the end, the very last day, so everybody arrived and then it happened. And then on the last day, the sun came out and we were able to walk outside and everything shifted. And we had a beautiful woman on retreat and she said, this is so telling of exactly how I felt. Like I got here hard, stiff, kind of crystallized. Yeah. And then I slowly began to let go because the branches would just kind of, they would
go. That's such a good analogy.
They just let go because they weren't going there. You didn't hear like enormous crashes and stuff. You just heard and you'd hear them just let go. It was like, and then she's like, and then it just let go and then let go. And then the last day I could feel all of the light coming in and the sun and everything, because every time something would let go and there would be a branch that would block the road, suddenly I would have this miraculous neighbor, that my neighbor with a cane, who came over and was cutting stuff up and moving it out of the way for us. And so everything was easily shifted and moved. So we could move. And then the branch, Andrea loves to say, so there was a big tree in the front, and it's literally split into 3 pieces. And one of the branches let go right by my car and landed right next to my car. And Andrea came in and she's like, girl, does anybody got angels? It'd be you. And I was like, yes. Let go right next to me.
Where we trust.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the girls was going to move her car, and she's like, I'm going to move my car. And I said, or you can trust.
Yeah, that's true.
Where she chose to trust. And everything it's where we walk by faith, that everything's the path is the path, and the path that comes before us is exactly for us. And we've all had the experience where we've had something's happened to our vehicle, or something's happened to our home, and we usually get an upgrade, and all we're doing is the tree fell. Oh my God. Instead of I received an upgrade.
Yeah.
Or that whole, it could have done this, it could have done that, it could have done this. And it's like, what did it do?
Exactly. Man, I love y'all. Y'all are great. I am loving y'all.
We're lots of fun. I
love it.
Hang out.
Well, y'all spoke light into me just listening to what you do. So thank you so much. I love that. Nick was like, hey, I got to do something this morning. And I'm like, okay. So I'm so grateful that y'all had me on. Y'all are doing amazing stuff.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
We love finding all of the fun. We find so much fun in this. It's like there's so much fun in the words. And I find it so fun to look outside. I mean, God created all those trees. Do you think they don't mean anything? I'm like, please. But people are like, oh, that's just a coincidence. I'm like, in what planet would God create a coincidence?
No.
Yes.
I'm like,
never. He doesn't do that.
And if we'll just pay attention. Yeah, and if we'll just pay attention, we'll have all our information. Everything we'll require is there when you're ready to receive the message.
Yes.
And it's always there. I had an experience yesterday where I was having a bunch of just stuff going on in me, and I took myself to the gym, which is to move. So I get to move, and I just remember calling on Divine Mother, and the next song that came on was Lay Your Head on Me. It's all going to be okay.
Wow. Yeah, he's so good.
I just sat, and I'm on that bicycle, just patting myself. God's got me.
Yes.
God has got me. So our messages are here when we will be aware of the signs and the signals that we're being spoken to, cared for, moment to moment. That's why bugs and birds and things show up. Songs come on the radio. All in divine time. When we will make the call.
I love it.
We've got to ask for it. The angels are there. We have to ask for their support.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, okay, so we are not broken. Let's go ahead and do you have your what's the website?
So wearenotbroken.org. Wearenotbroken.org. And if you want to tell your story, you can go straight there and do schedule, and you can actually schedule your storytelling. You can pick the day that you want. You pick the time that you want. We do stories once a month. So every month we'll have a day picked. So you can go through and pick your month that you want to share and submit your story. We would love to have you come in, and it's free, of course. And This year, we're going to add some mental health counselors that will be able to help our girls and women for free. Amazing stuff, y'all. So just get on and just, if anything, just look at other people's stories, because I promise you don't share your story for you share it for someone else.
Awesome.
We are the evidence.
So
yes.
Right. Exactly. Okay, dear. And we are right now just starting a class on relationships. So we're super excited. We're going to start that at the beginning of March. We do online classes.
Okay.
And so we're doing one on relationships. And we love to find one of the things we find all of the messages in little things. So we're going to play with some of the beliefs, some of the things people have taught us, the world has taught us, our family has taught us about relationships and what that is actually saying and what is actually true.
Wow, I love it.
And
yummy.
The class is called Unity, Reigniting Your Love Within.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So this is something that we'll be doing now, and then we have our podcast, and it's going to be, and it's aired on YouTube and on our Facebook page and on LinkedIn as well. So you can find it, and then we take the audio and we put it on Spotify. So you can find Our Word is Our Wand, and you can find different episodes so you can hear about different language and things. And so I'm so excited and grateful that you joined us today. I always know everything's in divine order.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Brandy. And I'm going to be at the volunteer event next week.
Yay! Okay.
I
get to meet you. Yay!
In person. So
perfect.
Awesome.
Yay. Thank y'all so much.
So much. And we're going to be.
You're welcome. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you.